I came here to ask the presidential candidates, both parties, of where they would take this country going forward to treat drugs more like a medical issue versus a criminal issue. I'm a co-founder of LEAP, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. We've been around for 13 years. Police officers, judges, prosecutors who say enough already. This is a failed policy. We need to start reducing crime, death, disease, and ultimately drug use when we treat these drugs as a civil medical matter versus a criminal matter, and put human beings in prisons versus take them to a clinic. Certainly the first two, Iowa and New Hampshire, are probably the best for being able to actually get up and talk to the candidate for 30 seconds. To talk to the candidate for 30 seconds. And my question is always, how much do you love the 10th Amendment when it comes to marijuana policy and drug policy? And because most of the candidates now, as you saw today with Mr. Rubio, are supporting a more medical approach to the addicts themselves, but they still support completely the concept of drug prohibition, which has been a $1 trillion failure by the metrics produced by the federal government. And the 10th Amendment is basically all powers not specifically granted to the federal government are reserved to the states and or to the people. And this is an amendment which has been, for the last 80 years, abused by both parties to suck more and more power into Washington inner beltway, and even Republicans have been continuing that process. As I say, Senator Rubio has been not been a supporter of the 10th Amendment, as Mr. Christie has said he certainly is not when it comes to the issue of drug policy. They believe that all the power should be in decision making should be in Washington, D.C. What would he do as president in regards to Colorado and the other? It will be 9 states. Will be like Colorado when the next president takes over. The war on drugs has been the most destructive, dysfunctional, and immoral policy since slavery and Jim Crow. And although there's no snow on the ground today in New Hampshire, there's certainly the state is covered with white powder of heroin. It just saturates every part of New England. And that's just after my profession has spent $1 trillion in 44 years trying to make America drug-free. So the question for the next president is, will you continue the same failed policy of drug prohibition, war on drugs, or will you propose substantive, substantial differences from the past? Oh yeah, I invented the shirt 17 years ago. The short answer to the question is, we are missing pedophiles, drunk drivers, terrorists, because we spend millions of hours flying around in a helicopter looking for a green plant. And secondly, every child in America basically has a job from 12 to 25, or a job option to sell marijuana, and every week kids of that age are shot and killed. And for the drug war in total, it's a Sandy Hook every day. 20 kids are shot every day across America because of their employment as a drug dealer. And nobody wants to talk about it. They come from the United States government. SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Agency, put together a report. The last one was 10 years ago. 900,000 kids in that age bracket are involved in the drug trade. That's from the federal government. And I've asked the Congress to do that again, so it's more up to date. But however, nobody wants to learn how many kids are employed by the drug trade, nor how many are shot every day. This is basically a conspiracy of silence, both parties. Yes, Ted Cruz last night recommitted to a 10th Amendment approach to marijuana at least, and that means as president he would leave Colorado and the other states alone to follow their own path on marijuana. Today, Senator Rubio was asked about the 10th Amendment. He declined to answer. And Hillary Clinton also has basically been unwilling to commit one way or the other in this issue. But historically, Secretary Clinton has been very terrible. She has been a big supporter of the war on drugs and supports very few changes. Barry Sanders is pushing her to adopt a more progressive, if you will, position on the issue of drug policy and marijuana in specific. Bernie Sanders has introduced a bill in the Senate about 2 months ago to essentially repeal the 1937 law, which made federal prohibition of marijuana, a nationwide policy. He's actually introduced a bill to say, let's go back to 1937. Well, I've done a careful analysis of this. My profession, the 800,000 police officers spend a solid 10 million hours a year looking for a plant. looking for something which we all know scientifically is less dangerous than beer. And this 10 million hours is lost to a drunk driver who killed 11,000, terrorists who blow up marathons, they blow up Christmas parties, and wonderful federal agents, colleagues of mine, are still wasting so much time on, as they say, this plant, which is a serious drug, but somewhere in the area of beer. And that combined with the kids selling it and getting shot, killed, this is a national disgrace. It's immoral and it's unnecessary. And every cop knows that alcohol is a horrifically terrible drug. Kills tens and tens of thousands of people every year. But making it illegal simply creates the illicit market, and then you have crime, corruption, and violence associated with it. So our grandparents were wise enough, after 14 years of failure, to get rid of their prohibition. We are not quite as wise as our grandparents. The Congress is very close to giving back to the states the responsibility and the choice to choose their own path on marijuana. So I've been doing that for the past 10 years. I'm gratified by the progress. I'll be real happy to go to that victory celebration. The war on drugs has been the most destructive, dysfunctional, and immoral policy because of the racism since slavery and Jim Crow. It needs to go today. When I first started out as a detective in Metro Lansing, Michigan, I did my job as everybody else did and didn't think too much one way or the other about the drug war. Just simply there was crime and I responded. However, after a couple of years at it, I was in a home of a victim of a home burglary, and I asked the gentleman to describe his grandfather's pocket watch he had stolen, and he described it. I said, "What's the value?" He said, "Value? It's priceless. It's my grandfather's pocket watch. No amount of insurance money can take care of it." And he slammed his fist on the dresser, and then his wife started crying, knowing what the watch meant to her husband. And at that moment, because I knew 8 times in 10 I would arrest somebody for home burglary, it was a crackhead who needed $200 a day for his habit. I said, why don't we let these crackheads have all they want until they're dead? Because stop bothering and hurting regular citizens, homeowners, with these burglaries that cause so much pain and suffering. And at that point, it was my epiphany and said, you know what? And my position today is basically like whiskey, like cigarettes. If you want to use cocaine until you suffer the ultimate consequences, that's up to you. Personal responsibility should be the cornerstone of policy, as opposed to thinking the government through the police department can fix stupid. And that was my epiphany. And since then, I've been on a path to help convince Americans that drugs need to be a medical issue and the police need to focus on one thing only: public safety. But in a country which values freedom above almost everything, what you do in the privacy of your own home as an individual, as a consenting adult, should not be a subject or a matter for the government to interfere with.